module 3 of the course Monitoring and Evaluation in Global Health. So I will just share my screen for this presentation. Hope the screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So in this module 3, it is talking about the M&E plan. Last time we spoke about logic model, and now in current module, we'll be seeing the monitoring and evaluation plan. The objectives of this session are to describe what is an M&E plan. So what are the components of M&E plan? What is the relationship between logic model and M&E plan? It is very, very important because we saw logic model. So how M&E plan is developed from logic model, that we will be going to see. Then what are the key components? Then many of us might have heard about SMART objectives. So that we will see. Then we'll talk about indicators, targets, what are the qualities of indicators, and what are the steps involved in developing a monitoring and evaluation plan. So as you know, this program or project cycle, where there are several components, and one of the important component is planning. And in that planning, last time we saw logic model, and now after logic model, the next step which comes is the monitoring and evaluation planning. So it is a document which gives approach or provides approach for implementing monitoring and evaluation activities. Like the monitoring and evaluation plan, what it will do, it will see whether we're progressing towards our objectives or not. So it is a stepwise approach, like whether we are going towards our program objectives or not. So it will give us clues on that, because that document has to be reviewed systematically. And at the end, whatever results we have determined in the beginning, so have those been achieved or not, that things the monitoring and evaluation plan will be able to tell. So in short, this plan will tell us what data we require, then how, from where to get. So how means from where to get these documents, then or the records, and when to conduct the program activities, at what frequency, and who will be the responsible person. So this plan, it will tell us in brief or at a glance what data we require, how to get that data, when to get that data, what is the frequency, and who will collect the data. Now there is a relationship between logic model and M&E plan. I'm repeating it again because last time we saw logic model, and based on that, that is the basis or foundation for monitoring and evaluation plan. So in the planning phase, first will come the logic model, and the logic model will give us context of M&E plan. So we have to refer again and again to the logic model. So I request if anyone can type in the chat box what components of logic model we saw last time. So so can you tell us, like, can anyone, yes, I'm getting some, yes, very good, problem statement. Nazmin has said so. So do you remember what are the, yes, objective and goal? What components we saw, other components in the logic model? So first was the goal, there was problem statement, definitely. Any other thing? Yes, importantly, inputs, outputs. I request all to participate in this. You can use the chat box, otherwise it will be like only one-way session, because this is a session for facilitation and not like teaching kind of session, because all of us are working professionals in the same, almost in the same field in public health. So we can just interact with each other. Yeah. So thank you, Dinesh and Nazmin, for giving some. So like as Dinesh said, we have some resources. So resources include the inputs and activities on one hand, and then we have results in the logic model, like we have outputs, we have outcomes, impacts on the other side. So this was the logic model. So both are living documents. Now living documents means what? We have to refer to them again and again to see whether our program or project is progressing as we desired. So if our M&E plan has been developed and some indicators, some targets, some objectives, outputs, outcomes, so are we progressing as per the timeline? So we have to review those documents, we have to update those documents if required. So that's why these documents are called living documents. Yeah. So let us recapitulate, though some of you have answered it very well. So there are outputs, outcomes, impacts, and goals. So let us recapitulate what are the definitions, what we saw in the last module. So outputs are the direct results of activities. So we spoke about activities. So what are the activities we conducted? If those have happened, then we can just change the verb and we can label them as outputs. When we spoke about outcomes, outcomes are short and medium term changes that we saw last time. Then impacts, they are like long term, overall long term consequences of any program. And we saw the goal, which is a broad, big picture statement that describes the ultimate aim of the program. Now, this we saw in the last module. What additional information we require for M&E plan is we will be seeing in this module the indicators. Now indicators are they will enable us to measure the achievement. So when we talk about outputs or outcomes, so they should be measurable. Okay, so those should be in numeric values or maybe some statements, some indicators, maybe qualitative or quantitative. Those should be measurable. So if we can measure our outcomes and outputs, then those are called indicators. Secondly, targets we have to decide. So based on our indicators, we should have, like, benchmark or end point of those activities over a period of time. So that will be called as targets. All of us know very well what targets are. Then data sources will be discussing in this module. From where to get data? What is the best possible? What is the best credible source of data? That will be seen. Then frequency, like what should be the frequency, at what period of time, when to collect the data, how often to collect the data. That will be the frequency. And who is the person responsible? So to make the program accountable, who is the person responsible to get that information? So these additional things, apart from logic models, the indicator, targets, data sources, frequency, and person responsible will be seen in this module. So overall, if we see, this is one of the template of M&E plan. So many organizations, many funders, many donors, they have different types, different templates. But commonly, if we can see, these are the key elements of M&E plan. Like we have program goal, then we have indicator, target, data source, frequency, and the person responsible. And in short, we are going to discuss this in detail, how to develop M&E plan, which is one of the major objective of this module. But the key components of the M&E plan, any M&E plan will have these key components or elements: program goal, indicator, target, data source, frequency, and person responsible. Now, what are the benefits of this M&E plan? The success of the program, it depends on the M&E plan, because M&E plan is a document which builds consensus among stakeholders, because M&E plan is not developed by one organization. So as an organization, if you are developing M&E plan, then you have to consult with your donors. Obviously, they will be giving the template, and for receiving funds, like, you will have to talk with them. But apart from funders or donors, you can talk with the community leaders. We can involve health officials or Ministry of Health, our government counterparts. So what is meaning of building consensus is that this plan gets developed when people, they come together, various stakeholders, they agree on those indicators, they agree on those timelines, on those measurements, on those targets. They come together, and it's a documented thing approach based on the consensus of various stakeholders. Secondly, it will facilitate effective and efficient resource allocation. Now, we have seen, like, there are some targets, there are some outputs, there are some outcomes in this document. Now, based on outcomes, based on outputs, we can allocate resources. Like, some outcomes, they want more manpower, they want more resources, because their results are better. It is going to affect program drastically. So based on those outcomes or those outputs, we can actually allocate the resources, and we can review this document in between. And if we find we were wrong, or something else wants more resource allocation, we can we can change the resources in between also. Then it gives evidence-based decision making, because this is an objective document, and it objectively says what is working, what is not working. So it is very, very important, because it's generating evidence for the program, how we are progressing, what is helping us to achieve our goals and objectives. So it's evidence-based documents. And lastly, when we decide, take data, develop indicators, then we develop some reports. So these reports will tell us what is the effect of that program. It will help our donors, to give what results we have achieved in that particular program. Also, we can disseminate our information to maybe at national conferences, international conferences, which will help other programs to look at us and learn from our outcomes, outputs, or maybe impacts. So this particular M&E plan has the advantages of, as said previously. And this, I just want to show this slide, because under goal we have certain objectives. So if we have to have a larger impact, then we need to decide what are the broader objectives. So in this particular module, we are going to see what are the objectives, but I'm referring back to the module 2, because in module 2 we saw that hand hygiene practices project, where the goal was to decrease healthcare associated infections in 8 facilities in Avni district. Now, under that, first objective was to increase the percentage of target health facilities with adequate hand hygiene infrastructure from 25% to 100% by the end of year 1. So that was a clear objective mentioned, which we saw last time also. So what are the outputs? Now here the objective is talking about equipping the facilities of Avni district with hand hygiene infrastructure. So the output was like activity was to distribute soap refill jars, and our output will be distributed hand soap refill jars to each facility. and outcome was, it was like mid or broader level outcome, increased health facilities with adequate hand hygiene infrastructure. So that was the goal and objective. So objectives are important at this stage when we develop M&E plan, and objectives should be specific, measurable, appropriate, realistic, and time bound. Now, many times we have seen this like objective should be smart. So what is specific? Can anyone write in the chat box what is specific? Example of specificity. So basically, if the objective is specific, means if it is more specific, it is more measurable. Example, if the objective to be set to be specific, it should have a numerator. It should not numerator, it should be numeric. It should have a value attached to it, clearly defined. Yes, Santosh has said clearly defined, very true. So specific means like it should be very, very clear. It should have a numeric value. Example, like there is raise, increase in contraception usage by 5%. So there is some value attached to it. Then it should be specific, means it should not be having two objectives or two statements. Example, if we want to measure how many of pregnant women they have delivery in hospitalized setting and how many of them are breastfeeding within 1 hour. Now these are two statements, so we can actually have them separately. Specific means it should have the target population defined also. Like if we want to reduce infections or diarrheal infections among children, so now children, it becomes generic statement. So we can have specific target group like under 5s or children under 5 years of age. So specific means that the target group should be defined. It should have a numeric value attached to it. Then second is the measurable. It is self-explanatory. It should be able to define like what change it will bring from this percent to this percent. So example, like if we want to is my screen visible? No.
Sir.
Yes?
No, sir. Please share it again.
Sorry. I thought someone has written in chat box. Sorry. Yes, we were seeing this slide. And
yes.
What is measure? Yeah. So what is measurable? Like what percentage we want to see? Suppose like in there are severely acute malnourished children. In SAM children, like if you want to reduce their prevalence, so what percentage? From 5% to 3%. So that measurable quantity should be there. Then it should be appropriate. Your objective should be appropriate. Appropriate means what? Like it should be within scope of the project. It should be within scope. So whatever scope or objectives we decided, it should lie within that. Then realistic means what? It should be achievable, doable. So organization should have that capacity. Organization should have that control of bringing that objective in place when actually implementing the program. So it should be realistic. It should be doable. That is realistic. Then it should be time bound. So it should have timelines. By 1 year, this much percentage should we achieve. By 2 years, this should be the percentage we should achieve. So that time bound, timeliness should be there. So objectives, so we just saw what are the objectives and what are the SMART objectives. So they have given definition of objective. It is a statement that describes the desired accomplishment or achievement. So whatever we want to accomplish or whatever we want to achieve within a specified time frame, that will be described by the objectives. So when we write SMART objectives, we have to follow these rules. First, we have to start with the verb, an action verb. So to reduce, to increase, to decrease. So we have to start with that, and we should include what has to be done, who, for whom we are doing, whether under 5 children, whether pregnant woman, whether which kind of beneficiary you have. So in whom, then how much, like by what quantity it should increase or decrease, and when. So that we have to write. So the SMART means SMART, what we saw. So all these things, the specific, then measurable, then appropriate, realistic, and time bound, all these things should come in the in that specific objective, and it should start with an action verb. But we are not writing in objective, we should not write how and why. So these are some norms of writing SMART objectives or objectives. Now there are some objectives which I would like to share with you, and you have to type in chat box whether this objective is SMART or not. So first objective is to increase the condom usage in female sex workers from 70 to 90%. So is it a SMART objective? You can mention yes or no. So I think the screen is visible. The objective written is to increase condom usage in female sex workers from 70% to 90%. Is it a SMART objective? Yes. So when we decide yes, so Divyaji has written time is missing. Very good. Now we'll go to next statement. Yeah. To increase hand hygiene practices from 75% to 100% from year 1 to year 3. So we want to increase the hand hygiene practices from 75% to 100% from year 1 to 3. So is this a SMART objective? Madan is saying yes. So we have, is it specific? Is it specific? Nazmin is saying no. So yes. So Dr. Priya has written target population is missing. So we don't know in whom. So whenever we see an objective, we have to see yes. So we have to see the SMART part of that to decide whether it is SMART or not. Then we'll go to next statement. Now the next statement is to increase weight gain of under 5 children with severe acute malnutrition by admission at NRC from month 1, that is baseline, to month 2 by 10%. Sorry, the word by is missing here. So is it a SMART objective? Sorry. So is this objective SMART? To increase weight gain of under 5 children with severe acute malnutrition by admission at NRC from month 1 to month 2 by 10%. Yes, Divyaji is saying yes. almost Arif is also saying yes, because I think the population is defined under 5 children. What has to be done to increase the weight gain? Then timeline is also defined. It is measurable also. So we can say this is one of the SMART objectives. So let us go ahead. Now this particular activity is included in the module 3, but it is not mandatory. Though it is not mandatory, like we have to go through it for better understanding. So let us go to indicator and targets. So what are the indicators? Indicator is a measurement. It is a unit of measurement that helps the program assess the progress. So with the help of indicator, we can see how our program is progressing, at what stage we are. We can measure our intervention and whether our program is making a difference or not. So that's why it's a unit of measurement. So what we saw, like our outputs, outcomes, we have to have some indicator in the M&E plan so that we can review those indicators, we can compare with the targets, and we can see whether we are progressing towards our objectives, impacts, or goals or not. Now, what are the qualities of effective indicator? And this I request you to go through it very in detail, because this is one of your assignment, I would say. But like the qualities of effective indicators, it should be comparable. Now what is comparable is like if we are having a program, we need not have unique or different indicators. If some other program is using that indicator, we can use the same indicator. It should not be very narrow. I mean, we cannot develop newer things and invent newer indicators every time. But if we are running a project, if we are planning to implement a project and we are developing an indicator, let us see what other indicators, similar indicators have been used by others, or by us maybe in the past, or by others in the project. So we should not be narrowing our indicators too much, and we should not have too much of uniqueness that we cannot compare also. So that is the meaning of what is comparable indicators. Then the indicator should be valid. What do you mean by valid? It means that it should measure the output or outcome what it intends to measure. I think, yeah. Is my voice audible to others? Because some Redmi is saying, dear sir, because of network issue, I think.
So it's audible. I have requested him to log in again.
Okay, thank you, Shweta. So it should be valid. Valid means what? Like whatever outputs or outcomes we are measuring. So, I mean, that indicator should measure the outputs or outcomes which are intended to measure. Example given in the module in that particular video is like if we want to measure the prevalence of anemia. Now if we want in a community, suppose in a village or maybe in a city, we want to measure how many of the population they are anemic. Now this study we cannot conduct in hospitalized settings, because in hospital, if we conduct, like if we take out blood from hospitalized patients, which is very easy, but already those people will be having some infections or some diseases, they already may be sick. So measuring hemoglobin to have prevalence of anemia in a hospitalized setting won't help. So we'll have to see population at a large. So that is the example of valid. And then comes the what is reliable. Now what is reliable is like if you are measuring an indicator n number of times, you are repeating the measurement of an indicator using same tool, same methods, then it should be same. It should give the similar results. Then it should be specific. It should be specific means, as Santosh said, it should have clear terms. It should have clear terms. It should not be ambiguous. Then what is discrete? Discrete means discrete. What is the meaning of discrete? I'm just focusing on this because this is important from our assignment point of view. So I just want answers. You can Google also, no issues. But what is discrete? So can someone type in chat box, what do you understand by what we understand from discrete? Yes. So it should have, it should be able to measure one thing. It should be unique. You cannot have, indicator having two, three, multiple measurable things. So it should give you one measurable thing. Then it should be timely. Now timely means we have to monitor those indicators at regular intervals in a program or project, because we have to see as a program managers or maybe program directors or program staff how we are progressing. So it should be monitored timely. Then feasible. Feasible means it should be readily available. So indicators we cannot, you know, put some indicators in our program which we cannot generate during the implementation. So it should be feasible, doable, readily available from a credible source to the organization, and it should be relevant. Relevant means what? Again, there is a link for relevant between M&E plan and our logic model. So whatever goals, whatever objectives we have put, whether that particular indicator is yielding or giving pertinent information. So that, so if it is giving like or yielding pertinent information to the program objectives, then it becomes a relevant indicator. So we'll just go ahead with this. Once again, like many of us, many times we gather so much of data that we do not measure or use that data. So in this module, they have said only gather the data that is necessary and which will serve a specific audience and a purpose. So let us see quickly what are the types of indicators. So we have two types of indicators. There are various types, but what we're going to see here is like quantitative indicators and qualitative indicators. Now we will be having a separate sessions on these quantitative aspects and qualitative aspects, but briefly we can see what are the quantitative indicators. So these indicators are expressed numerically. They are in numbers or percentages or ratios. Examples are given like how many percentage of households they have running tap waters, or what is the doctor patient ratio in COVID situation. So these are the examples of quantitative indicators. And advantages of quantitative indicators are like they're easy to compare. Like we can have pre-test, post-test, pre-project, post-project evaluations. We can have different interventions, how they are working within our program, or we can compare our program with a different program. So these are quantitative indicators. Then we have qualitative indicators. Now in qualitative indicators, these are expressed in words. These are described, yes or no answers, or maybe some focus group discussions to capture perceptions, attitudes, opinions. Example, like if you want to see in a village whether the ANM is providing better services for pregnant women or not, we can just conduct a FGD, focus group discussion, to know their practices, knowledge, attitude, and what services are being utilized by ANC clinic. So that will be like qualitative indicators we can have, and they may not be always be comparable. Then other indicators which was spoken last time by Madhuri ji, that was those were process indicators and outcome indicators. Now process indicators are related to outputs. So like whatever outputs we have, if we measure, those become our process indicators, because those are short-term steps. So when we start measuring our process indicators, we can see whether our activities are being conducted or being implemented as planned or not. Example, like hand hygiene training is conducted, or how many health workers have been trained. that will be a process indicator. And outcome indicators will be like, they will be like measuring the outcome at the midpoint or maybe at the end of the program. So these are the outcome indicators. So process indicators, they are for outputs which help monitor the program, and outcome indicators, they are at longer level, at midpoint or at the end. But they are correlated to each other, and they will be like measuring, doing the work together to help us in a program, in program setup. Then we come to targets. Now targets, as we have seen, it's a benchmark or it's an endpoint for measuring an indicator and whether a planned activity has been achieved within a specific time frame with given amount of resources or not. So we want to decide like how much change we want. It should be feasible also, like targets, we cannot be have high targets also. So we need to have a discussion within community, within group, with funders, with NGOs, stakeholders, like what targets have to be achievable targets. But it's an end point within a specific time period of time, within a specific time period, and using the available resources which we have put in our logic framework. So again, for deciding targets, please see your inputs also. We have to see our inputs also in deciding the targets. So as said, when we are setting a program, we have to see the past trends, whether any other program we similarly we conducted, how were those targets, or maybe some data we can review or other programs we can review to set up those targets. Then we can have expert opinions, definitely. Then research findings, review of literature we can see, then client expectations, and what has been accomplished elsewhere. Now, this is the last portion in this module, and we have an assignment on this, like developing M&E plan. So it is having 10 units. Like last module, we had built logic model. So similarly, we'll be having, we'll be developing M&E plan as an assignment. So there are some steps, and I request all to remember these steps as well, uh, because it is important to follow these steps. So first is like, step one is to define the results. So what results the program will achieve. So whatever M&E plan we are developing, what are the goals or outputs, outcomes, so that we have to define. Then we have to, step two is to select the indicators and targets based on outputs and outcomes. Then step three is identify the data, sources and methods and tools. Step four is decide the frequency, how, at what frequency, how frequently data will be collected. Then step five is who is the responsible person for that particular thing, not for collecting data, but for that activity, and determine how you will review and share your M&E data. So 5 steps we can, develop that plan. So from step 1 to step 5, we can develop that M&E plan. But step 6 is very, very important. Like we have to again refer back to that M&E plan document, because it's a, in the initially we have said, we have spoken, like it's a living document. It should, once we develop, it should not be, kept away and not looked at. We have to review that, share the data with our funders, with the stakeholders, take corrective actions. So that is the, so developing M&E plan only, it is not like, developing that matrix, but again referring back at, again reviewing that document. That is step 6. So we'll see these steps in detail. The step 1, it defines the results. Now we have to define the result in M&E plan. So we have to again back, I think Izang has raised hand. Do you have any queries? Hello? If you have any queries, you can type in the chat box. and at the end of session we can discuss. So defining the results. Defining the results means what? We have to define the outcomes, outputs, that and program goal. So for that, we'll have to refer to the logic model, see the program goal, objectives, outcomes, outputs, and we have to incorporate those goals and objectives in M&E plan as it is. Okay. So what we saw is like logic model, it will give context to the M&E plan. So the goal, objective, outputs, outcomes, we have to bring it from there and put it in the M&E plan. Now again, I'm going back to this particular example, what we saw in the hand hygiene practices project. Our goal was to decrease healthcare associated infection among 8 facilities in Avni district. So that was our goal. And what was the objective? There were two objectives. First objective was to increase the percentage of healthcare workers in target facilities who comply with the hand hygiene guidelines from 10% to 75% by the end of year 3. So here in objective 1, we have to increase the compliance of healthcare workers for hand hygiene practices. So that is first objective. And the second objective was to increase the percentage of targeted healthcare facilities with adequate hand hygiene infrastructure from 25% to 100%. So objective 2 was to increase the infrastructure for adequate hand hygiene practices. Now, why I'm going slow? Because this is very important. Goal and objectives we have seen. Now we have to refer to our outputs and outcomes in logic model. Now, the output which we had mentioned in our logic model in last module was trained frontline healthcare workers at each facility on hand hygiene guidelines. Now, this particular output, where will it go? Will it go in under objective 1 or under objective 2? Can you type in the chat box? So what we have to do is, first thing what we did is like goal and outputs we have to copy paste from our logic model. So we have this output now, like trained 30 frontline health care workers at each facility on hand hygiene guidelines. So will it go under objective 1 or objective 2? Objective 1 says the healthcare workers should be complying with hand hygiene guidelines. Where will it go? Can someone type, please? Yes. So Kiran has said it's objective 1. Very right, because we want increased compliance of people, health workers, for hand hygiene practices. So if we train those people, their compliance will be more. So it will go under objective 1. Then second is distributed hand soap refill jars to each facility on a monthly basis. So here, what is the output? Distributed soap refill jars. So will it go under objective 1 or objective 2? Yes. So Nazmin is saying 2. Because our objective is to equip those facilities with adequate hand hygiene infrastructure. Very good. Now, so outputs, what we have done, we have kept under objectives. Then next step is to go to the outcomes. Now, the short outcomes, we have increased healthcare worker knowledge of hand hygiene guidelines. That's the outcome, because after our training, the knowledge level, the pre-post test, it has post-test score is more than pre-test score. So will it go under objective 1 or objective 2? So this outcome, short-term outcome, yes. So no, someone has not, yeah. So Nazmin has answered now. So it is objective 1 because knowledge is increased, so compliance will increase. And then increase healthcare worker skills in proper hand hygiene techniques. So after knowledge, we are talking about skills. So will it go under objective 1 or 2? Now skills, if the skills are more, if the skills are better, then the people will, people or the healthcare worker compliance will be more. So it will go under objective 1. Yes. And the midterm outcomes are increase healthcare worker compliance with hand hygiene guidelines. It will go under 1, and increase health facilities with adequate hand hygiene infrastructure. It will go under 2. So first step I think is clear to everyone. I mean, this may not be a new thing for you, but it is my duty to walk through this. Sorry. So up till now, we have just finished step 1. Goal we have taken from logic model. Then objective we have taken from objective 1 and 2 we have taken from logic model. And then we spoke about outputs and outcomes. Then what is step 2? The step 2 is selecting indicators and targets for outputs and outcomes. So if our output was to trained 30 frontline health workers from each facility on hand hygiene guidelines. Now our indicators could be hand hygiene trainings, number of hand hygiene trainings conducted, and number of health workers trained on hand hygiene guidelines. Then outcome was to increase healthcare worker knowledge of hand hygiene guidelines. Then the indicator could be percentage of trained healthcare workers who achieve 85% or more on hand hygiene knowledge post-test. So these indicators we can develop. So step 2 is to have indicators and targets. Now we'll come to target portion. So since step 2 is to develop indicators and targets, we develop indicators and then we can have the target. So hand hygiene indicator was number of hand hygiene trainings conducted. So we can set up targets, 1 per facility, that is total 8 trainings. Then indicator was a number of healthcare workers trained on hand hygiene guidelines. So we can have maybe 30 healthcare workers per facility. So target would be 240 total healthcare workers trained. So this is step 2. Now we'll go to step 3, and in step 3 we have to identify the data sources, methods and tools. So whatever data sources we have, and we have to see carefully, because when we develop the indicators, we saw feasibility of the indicator should be feasible. So is it feasible for the organization to get that data source? So is it available within the program which we are collecting routinely, or is available with the stakeholders readily? So if it is readily available from a credible source, it is well and good. If not, then we have to think, is it feasible for us to collect that method with a new mechanism, new data and new mechanism? Is it providing information correctly? Is it helping program? Is it specific? So those questions we need to ask when we see our data sources. Otherwise, we can change our indicators accordingly also. Some of the examples of data sources are training reports and maybe participant list. We can have we can have numerous data sources. Then step 4 is deciding frequency of data collection. So whether monthly, quarterly, annually, or less frequently, we have to decide the frequency in consensus. Again, that building consensus principle of M&E plan. So it has to be it has to be consulted with various stakeholders how we can develop the M&E plan. Then who is responsible for that particular thing? Training manager or district health officer in case of this example. So this is the assembled M&E plan. So we have goals, we have objective. Under each objective, we have output, outcomes. Then for each output, each outcome, we have indicators. For each indicator, we have targets. For each indicator, we have data source. Each indicator we have frequency of data collection and who is the person responsible for that particular thing. Okay, now these are the 5 steps, but again reiterating, step 6 will determine how will you review and share the M&E data. So we have to work with the stakeholders to see like how we are progressing, what are the gaps. If there are any gaps, then we have to recheck whether we want to reallocate the resources, time frame, the budgets, maybe staff patterns. We have to again reallocate that we can see. So this document is a living document and we have to review it in between to see at regular intervals to see whether we are progressing to achieve our objectives or goals or not. So you know that there is no one size fits all approach. On one hand, we have program scope, budget and capacity. And we also have like practical plan, program and stakeholder needs. In this module, there are some videos, 4 videos like by Dr. Maria Plotkin, and she is talking about M&E plans are complex now because different funders, different donors will give you different formats. So we should not have complex formats. We have to listen to donors, but when we actually develop or the formats, then those should not be very, very complex. Then she has spoken about CLA, but which is not given in detail. Neither I have read about CLA in my experience, but she has written like how successful M&E plan could be developed. So that is one video. Then what she has mentioned, whenever you develop M&E plan, you have to be close with technical expert because you can understand what they want, what is their vision. So please work closely with the technical expert when you are developing M&E plan. And through M&E plan, you have to use data for decision making and dissemination. Module 3 has assignments and timelines. Assignment 10 marks and developing an M&E plan. So as I said, last module we built a logic model. This particular module has assignment of developing an M&E plan, same exercise, and we have a quiz and timeline for it is 2nd of August. And just as a reminder, like yesterday we received an email about mid-course survey 1, which is covering module 1 to 3. So request all of you to give feedback, your feedback for course for survey by 7th of August. And let us discuss if any, now there could be questions also, but all of us are like working since many years. But if you want to share anything when you developed M&E plans or you want to add anything to the existing presentation, then you please add if I have missed anything. So thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Participants can unmute themselves and ask questions. Any other comments or experiences anyone would like to share? So no questions, so no comments. Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you all. Thank you, sir.